she's not gonna, no, she's not gonna make us.
You don't need to tell your mother what I said. Get back on this screen. Turn your camera on now! Send them out of the room! Send those two girls out of that room! Now! Don't say a word, just send them out of the room. Oh, and go ahead and put yourself on mute now. All right, Bostic, you ready? Bostic.
I'm here.
Thank goodness. You got Bostic here, okay? All right, once again, I'll remind all of you folks that I've done before is that the last nighttime night court's November 21st. So if you got somebody that you need on there, you need to email Mr. Dukes, let him know that you've got someone you need on a night court calendar. If not, we're going to have a few day court calendars, but I don't know about the date. So let's make sure if you got somebody you need to get on, you get them on. And then we've got a another ankle monitor company coming up. Mr. Dukes, was that the 19th?
Yes, Judge.
All right, on the 19th. All right, so we will start with Zar Hunt. Is that you there at ACDC? Nod your head, do something. There we go. Okay, I got you. All right. It's position 5. Miss Kennebrew, we got you here.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm
All
here.
right. 24 PI 004-231, 153 days without indictment. There's a $13,000 split bond as of 9/19/24. I've got use of communication facility and committing crimes, VGCSA, possession of controlled substance, Schedule 1 or 2, 5 fentanyl pills, 3 grams of MDMA, and 1 gram of cocaine, all of that suspected. Possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance and possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance. Rah!
Judge, in regards to the defendant, 6 cycles with the U.S. Marshals, there's a conspiracy to defraud in 2017, probation violation of old firearm, 25 cycles with Georgia. All of his felony convictions are more than 13 years old, 3 FTAs, 24, 23, and 02. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Hunt is 43 years of age. He does have a valid address in the metro Atlanta area where he resides with his wife. He has been married for over 14 years. He is born and raised here in the state of Georgia. He did graduate from high school in 1997. Prior to being arrested, he was working at a cleaning service, doing commercial cleaning, and he'd been there for over, for over 2 years. He is the father of a 10-year-old daughter. As you stated, 5 fentanyl pills, 3 grams of MDMA, 1 gram of cocaine. Right now, his current total bond is $15,000, and that's a split bond. We'd be asking for the bond not to exceed $5,000 so we can get him through the bail project. He has been in custody for 153 days. His case has not moved since his preliminary hearing. And his last bond hearing was on July 8th, 2024. He's not a danger to anyone in the community. He is not a flight risk. He does have community ties. So we would just, again, be requesting that the bond doesn't exceed $5,000 total.
So he's going to live in Fulton County?
Yes, Your Honor, in Fulton.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
I'm not sure how you argue that someone who with 1, 2, 3, 4 prior drug convictions as well as an involuntary manslaughter conviction, it does not pose a danger to society when they are setting up a drug deal as part of this incident. So don't know how he could satisfy that Ayala factor in terms of getting a bond. Danger to the community. Criminal history, the probation violations speak for themselves. He also has failures to appear both in Georgia and in the state of Texas, where it was, he had firearm by felon conviction from the state of Texas. So he's a multi-state offender also, and has failures to appear in the state of Georgia, which would go to the first Ayala factor of risk and likelihood of offending. So I don't know that he's a good candidate for bond. I'm confident that he's going to get a bond. So I would ask that the bonds be set for in a total of $15,000, but good bond rather than UGR splits.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 2541 Old National Highway.
And I'm sorry, we'd ask for random drug screens as well.
Ms. Kinnebrew, anything?
Your Honor, we'd request that the random drug screens not be adhered to. If the court is inclined to set it, then we'd be asking for a UJR through pretrial if that is how you want to monitor Mr. Hunt.
I don't know that they're both required or mutually exclusive, but I think it's appropriate given his history and the allegations in this case, although not appropriate for UJR.
All right, looks like it was on September 19th from my previous bond order, so I'll leave UJR jail for position count 1, 5,000, 3,500, and 3,500. UJR through the jail, 5,000, 3,500, and 3,500. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, ACDC.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, what about Emanuel Williams? I don't know if South Annex is here yet.
Excuse me, Judge, Lieutenant Conklin, they're in the process of bringing him down.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
All right, when I call your name, wave your hand so we'll know who you are. Kendricks, Mitchell Kendricks. All right, Ms. Jones. There you go. Position 6, Bostic 24, PI 005858, 117 days without indictment as of August the 14th. There's a $26,000 good bond on ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, and battery. Rah.
8 cycles out of Georgia. He has a hold for probation violation. There's a battery on a pregnant female. He's on probation. 9/16/24 for 12 months. Lakedriel McCarity. There's a battery in 23. There's a firearm during ag assault 2019. Simple battery family violence 2019. Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Jones, where's he gonna live?
That would be 532 Cleveland Avenue, apartment 16H.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kendricks is 35 years old. He was born and raised in Georgia. He was a painter before his incarceration, and he also earned his GED from Atlanta Tech. We would be asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000 so we can get him through the bail project if possible.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Well, same old refrain, Your Honor. He is not a good candidate for bond, period. This is the second time he has pending charges for shooting someone. He shot the victim in this case. The victim was trying to prevent the defendant from carjacking his truck, and the defendant shot him. He has an armed robbery conviction from 2011 where he got 20 years to serve, and that sentence started in 2011. Since he's been released from that sentence, he's been arrested for simple battery in Clayton County, which, if I heard correctly, was battery on a pregnant female. He has this other case from shooting from March 21st of 2022, aggravated assault with intent to murder. That was DWOP for officer no-show, but is still within the statute of limitations to be charged and should be charged. And just coincidentally has 2 different dates of birth when you look him up in Odyssey, which would go, I think, to the flight risk factor, in addition to the 2+ failures to appear that are indicated in the pretrial services report from one of his other cases. So he's not a good candidate for bond. He's a danger to persons and property in the community. He's likely to offend. The state feels that he is a flight risk as well. However, he's still on probation for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm. So again, feel like he's not a good candidate for bond, period. If the court is inclined to impose a bond, ask for $10,000 on the aggravated assault, $5,000 on the firearm charge, and $1,000 on the battery, good cash bond.
Do we have any contact with the victim?
Oh,
You know, looks like
Your
victim.
Honor, I'm sorry. Listen, I transposed my notes, although this defendant, the position would be that he's not a good candidate. What I just read was Lawrence, but for this candidate, Davenport, he had an aggravated assault conviction from November of 2019 and had another one, firearm during that same time that he was still on probation for when this incident occurred. He also has a domestic violence incident that was reported May 31st of 2024. Fled from law enforcement and discarded a machete on the street during his flight from officers identified from a video by his girlfriend, and a serious injury to the victim in this case. But I would make the same recommendations as to bond, though. I'm sorry.
Your
Right.
Honor, Your Honor, well, Davenport is also my client. I thought we were on Mitchell Kendricks.
No.
Mitchell
don't be
Kendrick. I'm
Davenport.
sorry.
Mr. Kendricks didn't raise his hand.
Oh, okay.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 655 Cleveland Avenue Southwest. No further contact with German Gutierrez. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew, sir. Court, lawyer, and medical. The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer, and medical. So give 18,000, 5,000, and 1,000. 18,000, 5,000, and 1,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, now as Mario Lemon came in the booth. Do you leave the booth, sir? See you later, Mr. Davenport. Mario Lemon. Wave your hand if you're Mario Lemon. There we go. Absolutely outstanding. We got 23 CP 219-215, 136 days without indictment. Let's see, do we have Cameron Mackey here yet, the attorney? Nope, let's just move on to where we got one. Marco Jaramillo. All right, we got that. So we got Miss Steffo. Here you go. It's position 9, Bostic 24, PI 005-845. Excuse me, 854. 93 days without indictment. There's a $20,000 good bond as of September the 18th on trafficking in illegal drugs. Had 120.6 grams of fentanyl allegedly. Pre-trial.
1 cycle in Florida, 15 in Georgia, another open case, 24 PI 001407. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, drug-related objects, firearm during affixing material. Conviction is old 09, meth and firearm during history of probation violation. Couple of misdemeanor theft by shoplifting convictions.
All right, go ahead, Miss Steffo.
Good afternoon, Judge. Mr. Jaramillo is 51 years old. He's been in Georgia for the last 27 years. His immediate family is here, his 27-year-old son and his 27-year-old stepson, as well as his wife. He does have a high school diploma and he's completed some college and would like to complete that. He was working a security job as well as doing Uber and Lyfts prior to this. Your Honor, I understand that there is a large allegation of substances that were found with Mr. Jaramillo. However, it's my understanding that he is actually struggling with substance abuse. I do have a letter that I can provide to the court where he was accepted by a step-by-step recovery program for his substance abuse so that he can get treatment. It is a 12-step program where he will have housing and a counselor as well as a peer mentor to make sure that he maintains his sobriety. I've confirmed this with his brother as well as the executive director at Step by Step Recovery, Inc. He is adamant about wanting to receive treatment, Judge, and he's adamant about wanting to get sober and get his life back on track. Prior to these charges, he actually was clean for 12 years. Unfortunately, he lost one of his jobs and became homeless. And while he was getting back on his feet during that struggle with addiction, there's a cycle. And when you face a struggle, sometimes you run back to that cycle. But he does want to get clean for his children and for his family. And we do not want him to miss on this possibility with step-by-step recovery. So we are asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000 in this matter.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Judge, math isn't my thing, but to say that he hasn't been involved with substance abuse for a while, he was arrested in February of 2024 on a drug charge, as was released in July of 2024. In this incident, a trafficking charge comes up a month later. So this is his 14th cycle. No, excuse me, it's his 15th cycle. Now, and if I were to go back and have the time to check all of his previous cases, I would be willing to make a significant wager that there was drug treatment either professed or required in some of those previous cases, which would include first offender for meth and a firearm back in 2009.
Hold on. North South, move two. What are you doing? Put your clothes on. Keep your shirt on. All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Okay, so a first offender for meth and firearm back in 2009. While under sentence in that case, he got a shoplifting conviction, going to the likelihood of offending while under any kind of sentence, much less bond. He was arrested, as I said, in February of this year for drugs and a firearm. In Roswell, he got a UJR on June 28th of 2024. And our case, and he was released on July 1st of 2024. And then he picks up a trafficking charge in August 12th of 2024, 6 weeks later. So, you know, I guess you come in and you talk the talk when you're before the judge, and that's appropriate, but he does have prior failures to appear, both in Cherokee and in Gwinnett County, prior drug convictions and a pending drug conviction, and then he ups the ante. So I would argue that he's not a candidate for bond, period. However, being confident that he will get a bond today, the state would ask for $100,000, good cash bond.
Judge, he already has a $20,000 bond, so to increase that would be egregious. And again, I would just like to assert that with substance abuse, people do fall off the wagon. And unfortunately, he did fall off that wagon, but he's here asking for help, which takes a lot to set aside your pride, recognize that you have addiction, and seek. He sought out step-by-step recovery himself. At the jail, he had his family members reach out. I didn't seek it out for him. I genuinely believe he wants to get back on track for his children while he has the time to do so.
Judge, I don't know why he didn't do that between July 1st of 2024 when he was released and August when he was arrested on trafficking. If this was a possession amount of drugs, that argument might have some merit to it. But a trafficking amount of drugs while you're out on bond on drugs with a prior conviction for drugs, and then you come in and plead this to the court with nothing to back it up, I think is pretty specious and a danger to the community as well.
Ms. Steffo, who represented him at the prelim? Do you know?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Danny Pozo represented him at his preliminary hearing.
Right. So he no longer has him as a lawyer?
He's with our office, Judge. It was transferred to me just
Okay.
for administrative purposes.
All right. Because for some reason here it said that the previous judge said he'd pay for the ankle monitor. All right. So I got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. This says ankle monitor paid for by him. He has to enter and complete the step-by-step recovery Inc. treatment program in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and he'll stay out of Fulton County unless he's here for court or to see his lawyer. He'll have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and participation in said program. No other reason you leave your house, sir. No further contact your co-defendant, Evan, EVAN Buck, BUCK. Don't forget, sir, stay out of Fulton County. Don't darken the door of Fulton County for any reason. I added some conditions, but I'm only going to reduce this to $19,500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right. What about Mitchell Kendricks? If you're here, raise your hand. There we go. There's Mitchell. Ms. Jones, position 1, 24 PI 005870. 92 days without indictment. There's a $12,000 split bond as of August the 14th. BGCSA, possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, possession of methamphetamine, possession of false identification, misdemeanor obstruction, possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Says crystal meth and 22 alleged MDMA pills.
Open case 20 SC 176692, meth and theft by taking. 2019 theft by receiving stolen property, driving with a suspended license, 33 cycles. 2019 meth and controlled substance. And 3 felonies more than 10 years old. There is escapes, forgery, and theft by receiving. Nothing further.
And Ms. Jones, I don't know that these are necessarily still good, but on Odyssey it shows some 13 cases of foreign warrants that were issued. I didn't hear Bostic say it, but anyway, they show up on
The
Odyssey.
13 cases are escape, 4 and 4, they probably probation violation holds.
Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Ms. Jones.
Your Honor, first, I just wanted to say I have my information swapped, and so that address for position, I think it was position 5, Davenport, or no, position 6, is a different address. Is there a way that I could give you that the correct address?
So where will he live?
It
Davenport.
is 2325 Wexford Drive in College Park.
All right, yeah, just make sure the change of address or the good address is with the clerk's office. Go ahead.
So Mr. Kendricks, he's 35 years old, born and raised in Atlanta. He earned his GED, and we would be requesting a bond not to exceed $4,000, a UJR on the 2 eligible offenses, and then on the other 3, a bond not to exceed $4,000. We don't believe he's a flight risk, and so that would be our request.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Ms. Defo. All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Yes, John, I can appreciate the defense counsel doesn't think he's a flight risk. The state would disagree with that assessment based on the fact that he has 4 aliases, has prior convictions for fake IDs and false names, 2 of them in 2010, 2 of them in 2022, 1 in 2021 in Clayton County, Habersham County, DeKalb County, Cobb County, Floyd County, Whitfield County. He's kind of covered the waterfront there in spreading the joy around to many jurisdictions in Georgia with criminal activity. He's on probation at the time that he picks up new convictions, and as well as this incident. Danger to the community that so the state would say that he cannot satisfy the first Ayala factor of flight risk based on the identity issues and the fact that in this case he's also charged with fake IDs, and I believe, if I'm thinking of the right case, provided 3 different names to the officer during the encounter. Let me see what else. Danger to the community in being charged with possession of MDMA ecstasy pills with the intent to distribute. And I know that the court is very well familiar with the effect of drug activity on Fulton County. Loitering and prowling behind businesses at a time when they were not open, and in an area where those businesses are victimized quite frequently, is what prompted the officer to be there in the first place. As far as the third Ayala factor, likelihood to reoffend, he was on probation for forgery in 2013 when he was convicted of theft by receiving and meth in Fulton County in 2019. He was also on probation in Whitfield County for forgery in 2015 when he was convicted here in Fulton County. He was on probation in Cobb County for possession of meth and false name, and also for false name in Habersham County at that time. So again, according to the state, the defendant would fail to meet the 3 out of the 4 Ayala factors. However, feel quite confident he will receive a bond. So we would ask for a $10,000 bond on the count 1 possession with intent to distribute, schedule 1 or 2, $5,000 on the possession of meth, $5,000 on the possession of a false identification document, $1,000 for the willful obstruction, and $1,000 for the possession of marijuana, all good bonds.
And he's going to live in Fulton County, Ms. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 2780 Camp Creek Parkway, 2780 Camp Creek Parkway. All right. And since you got some sort of issue, you're going to have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. 9,000, 1,000, 250, and 250. 9,000, 1,000, 250, 250, and count 5 is UJR jail. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, let's see. We got Emanuel Williams, Ms. Kimbrough. All right, we got position 10, Bostic, 24 PI 000586, 294 days without indictment. $8,000 good bond as of August the 21st for burglary in the 2nd degree, criminal damage to property 2nd degree, theft by taking, burglary, smash and grab, criminal damage to property 2nd degree, theft by taking, entering auto, and theft by taking. Right.
Emanuel Williams. Am I off mute? Yes. Emanuel Williams. No prior arrests. At the time of arrest, he had other cases. He was indicted on 24 SC 004523, entering auto. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Kittebury.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams has been in custody for 294 days without indictment. The state has not indicted this case. He does currently have an $8,000 bond. He is 17 years of age. He has a valid address in the Metro Atlanta area. He was born and raised here in the state of Georgia. Prior to being arrested, he was completing the 10th grade at Peak Academy. This is his first arrest. We would just be asking for the bond to be reduced to $4,000, total $500 on each charge.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Yes, Your Honor, I think $8,000 bond, good cash bond is reasonable. I'm sorry, I don't have the specifics on the timing of the case that he's been indicted for and the case that is before the court today, which chicken or egg, but being 17 years old and having 2 felony charges ought to have some skin in the game, maybe, for that behavior, maybe.
And we would state that 294 days without being indicted is skin in the game, Your Honor. So we would just be asking for you to reconsider that $500 per charge at 17 years old being at Rice Street with no prior arrest.
So he's
Well-
gonna leave it 515 Cascade Rise.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Must reside at 515 Cascade Rise Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Markel Harper or Michael Patterson. Must enroll in school or a GED program. Stay away from 185 Clifton Road. That's the 10 Drum Restaurant and any Flying Biscuit Restaurant. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. You can have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, or school. That's the only reason you leave your house. They're court, lawyer, medical, or school. Looks like you have to have a parental cosigner. What's his parents' name?
It's his sister, and his sister's name is Felicia Robles, Robles.
Judge, is he already required to be on an ankle monitor? Because we would request one if not.
All
That was
right.
just stated as a condition.
Ankle monitor over that 24-hour curfew. Let's see. We got, let's see. 1,000, 500. 1,000, 500, and 500. 1,000, 500, 1,000, 1,000, 500, 500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. I'll put his name on my,
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Can you say that again?
let's see. Sorry, I probably mumbled. 1,000, 1,000, 500, 1,000, 1,000, 500, 500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, South Annex.
There's one more. There's 8 charges.
I do only have 7. Oh, and another 1,000. Sorry. I did
Thank
miss
you.
that. Thank you. All right, let's see. What
That
about
concludes my matters with the court. May I be excused?
Bostic?
Yes, Judge, give her freedom.
Thank you, Ms. Kittebury.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Is anyone filling in for Cameron Mackey? Oh, all right.
Yeah, I sent an email, but I could reset this case.
Okay, let's see. Mario Lemon. Mario Lemon. Looks like Mr. Mackey's not here, sir, so we'll reset your case right now. You've got that $26,500 good bond. We'll reset it until when?
November 21st or the 14th.
November 21st, sir. But you can also tell your lawyer to reach out to Ms. Rosenbaum or another ADA and see if they can come up with a consent bond, okay? Thank you, sir. You can leave the booth. Isaiah Madison. Position 2, Bostic 24, PI 006635, $130, $130, 130 days without indictment, no bond as of October the 3rd. Armed robbery, hijacking a motor vehicle, first degree, ag assault, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony. Pre-trial.
Madison. Judge 11 cycles on probation in Fulton for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 4 counts firearm during 4 counts firearm by 19 SC 171485. Then on probation, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 3 counts, firearm during, firearm by, 19 SC 171639. On probation, aggravated assault, firearm during, firearm by, 19 SC 1713. All 3 cases sentenced on the same day, 11/16/22, 4 years confinement, 16 years probation. Also open case 21 PI 004809, hijacking, firearm by, firearm during. And then there's 24 PI 004810, armed robbery, 24 PI 004811. Then terroristic threats, 24 PI 00810, armed robbery, 24 PI 004811, terroristic threats. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Isaiah Madison, 26 years old. His address 354 Black Oak Court, Marietta, Georgia. That's an address with his grandmother. He is a Georgian native and an Atlanta native. He was previously working at a Wendy's and GED education. 6 kids in the area, if not 7. He has a pregnant wife. So he's, as pretrial said, he's got open cases. So currently he actually has a total, along with the no bond here, $180,000 bond total on his other cases holding him in. So in setting this bond, I would ask the court to take into consideration the financial means and the long incarceration here, 130 days. By statute 1761E2, his resources are to be considered. So considering he's already got 180,000, I would ask the court to not go over 10,000 and setting a bond here. Ideally, I would be asking 1,000 on each charge.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Judge, I'm sorry, I lost track of how many open cases he has right now that put him under the $180,000 bond. But from what I do know about his history is that he previously had a robbery conviction in 2018 in 16 SC 144621. He had a failure to appear for that robbery. He also has a conviction out of Cobb for false name, theft by receiving conviction out of Cobb while he was on probation for the robbery conviction, has a conviction for aggravated assault with a firearm from 2022 and 19 SC 171733. Still on probation for that. Got 20 years with 4 to serve and a balance of 16 on probation. So he's still on probation for aggravated assault with a firearm. He also has a conviction in 17 SC 153809. I did not write down what that was for, but that is the case number. I can check it. And now he's looking at armed robbery and carjack, which means a mandatory LWOP, should he be convicted of that charge as an ABC recidivist. That would certainly be an incentive for most reasonable people, even ones without a history of failing to appear for similar charges, to not come back and face these charges should he be able to make a bond in this case, the $180,000 on the other open cases notwithstanding. On probation, prior FTA, flight risk, danger to the community. I don't know whether there's been any contact with victims in any of his cases or not, but he does fail on 3 of the 4 Ayala factors. So I would ask for, and I have come down from my initial recommendation in light of the $180,000 already pending, $50,000 for the armed robbery, $50,000 for the carjacking, 25 on the ag assault, and 10 on the firearm during, all to be good bonds added to that $180,000 bond. Believe he poses a danger to the community, which cannot be overlooked.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no further contact with Jason Bartlett, Barlet. Stay away from 888 Zion Circle in Roswell, Georgia. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. You're going to have an ankle monitor because the county can has the money with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical. That's the absolute only reason you leave your house. Court, lawyer, medical. And you stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you come back to Fulton County, sir, is court or to see your lawyer. If you don't have court, if you're not here to see Mr. Showalter or whoever your lawyer is, You do not darken the doors of Fulton County. No driving unless your bond is modified. Anybody's car. All right. Let's see. So don't forget to stay out of Fulton County. I got 50,000, 50,000, 30,000, and 10,000. 50,000, 50,000, 30,000, and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You could leave the booth. Contavious Gray. All right, position 8, Bostic 24 PI 003-532, 179 days without indictment. No bond as of May 20th, aggravated assault and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. During the commission of certain felonies. Rah.
At the time of his booking, he was booked in on a case that's indicted ag assault, 3 counts, firearm during criminal damage in the first 2 counts, 24 SC 004-571, 2 cycles, possible open case out of Clayton, criminal contributing to the delinquency of a minor, reckless conduct, unauthorized and discharging of a firearm within 50 feet of a highway, sawed-off shotgun, or machine gun from an 11-12-23 arrest, and then in Cobb County, unlawful carrying a weapon and simple assault, battery, family violence, and theft by taking from a 3/30-23 arrest. Nothing further.
All right, and this is the one, right, Ms. Steffo? Sir, you're the 3 ag assaults, 2 criminal damage property. That case has been indicted. I'll let Ms. Steffo know. Go ahead, Ms. Steffo.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gray has been in custody on these charges for 179 days. He is 21 years old and born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. He does have his high school diploma. He was working prior to this for a temp company called Randstad, where he could return. He does have a stable address on Flat Shoals Road, where he'll be living with his girlfriend, Ariana Boyd, who's on the Zoom platform, here to support him. Your Honor, recently Mr. Gray lost his father and was also unfortunately shot at and has been suffering with his mental health as well as his physical health. We do plan on working on getting him set with some social services and would like to make sure that he's able to get out on bond so that he can get treatment both for his physical injuries as well as his mental injuries. And so we are asking for a bond, Your Honor, not to exceed 50,000 for the entirety of the case.
Let's see. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum. Do we know if we've had any victim contact?
Your Honor, what position is this, please?
Number 8.
Contavious Gray, I'll defer to Ms. Jones on that.
There were
Dorsey.
3, yes, there were 3 attempts, but nobody answered. There was also a voice message and a text message that was left. Nobody responded.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Yes, Your Honor, when I was reviewing this case, the notes that I wrote to myself was, does he have to murder someone before he's considered unsuitable for bond? He shot this victim multiple times with a ghost gun with an internal switch that he built himself, ordering parts off of the internet. He admitted to the officer that he gets mad easily. I'm already saying this is a bad combination for the rest of Fulton County and other citizens out there. In addition, he was arrested in Cobb County in March of 2023 for unlawful carrying of a weapon, aggravated assault, and family violence battery. Ms. Bird may be the victim on that case, or there may be a different victim, which just neither one is a good scenario. In November of 2023, he was arrested in Clayton County for reckless conduct, discharging a weapon within 50 yards of a public street, having a firearm during the commission of a felony, having a sawed-off shotgun or rifle with a silencer. And now the case in chief occurred on March 11th of 2024, so 3 within 1 year, while he's either on bond or under sentence for 2 violent offenses involving firearms, and this case, the victim having been shot repeatedly. And again, my note is, does he have to actually murder someone before he's considered unsuitable for bond? So my expectation is that he will in fact get a bond. So in that case, the state's position is officially he's not entitled to a bond, but if a bond is going to be assessed for him, we'd ask for $100,000 on the aggravated assault and $50,000 on the possession of a firearm during commission.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from Fulton Industrial Boulevard. You're gonna have a 24-hour curfew. Court lawyer medical. That's the only reason you leave your house. Court lawyer medical, ankle monitor if county funds are available with a 24-hour curfew. Court lawyer medical. That's the absolute only reason you leave your house. No further contact with first name J-A-H, middle name M-A-A-H-I-K, last name M-A-R-C-A-N-O. M-A-R-C-A-N-O. 100,000 and 50,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You should leave the booth. Barry Lawrence. Yes,
Longer,
ma'am.
that concludes my business. May I be
Yes,
excused?
ma'am. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Barry Lawrence, last one. Position 7, Bostic 24, PI 003-521, 174 days without indictment. $80,000 good bond at the consent order as of August 21st for hijacking motor vehicle, first degree, tampering with evidence, felony, and armed robbery. Wow.
5 cycles. Convictions is 2011 armed robbery, 2 counts ag assault, 4 counts firearm during, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Lawrence is about to celebrate his birthday. On the 14th, he will be 33 years old. He does have his GED. He went to Tri-City High School up to the 12th grade, which is when he was arrested on the charges just mentioned by pretrial, and he spent 10 years in custody for that case. He was released, I believe, around the age of 30, 29 or 30, during the height of COVID. So he spent his entire 20s in prison, and that's where he got his GED, learned several trade skills. He does have a good address here in Atlanta where he lives with his dad and his 14-year-old son. His son goes to Maynard Jackson, and they live in a house that was passed down to him by his grandmother, who he was close to. His grandmother passed away 2 years ago. He was working at Malone's on Virginia Avenue for the past 2 years, so he is able to hold down a job. He's not a flight risk. He can get that job back, and we would ask that, considering he has a son that he wants to get back to, and a job that has been waiting about 175 days for him to return, that his bond be reduced from 80,000 to 40,000.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum. Oh, any victim contact?
Yes, Your Honor, I spoke with the victim and they're asking that that bond be denied.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenbaum.
Well, Your Honor, I would have to agree with that. He spent 10 years in prison for armed robbery, a violent offense, which sentence started in 2011. And since he's been out, this would now be his 3rd violent offense that he's picked up since being released from prison. I can't imagine what should be more of a deterrent of behavior. He was arrested in March of 22 for simple battery in Clayton County. I believe, I'm not sure whether that was domestic violence or not. I'm not going to say because I'm not sure. Then he was also arrested in March of 22 in Fulton County for aggravated assault with intent to murder. That's what I had mentioned earlier. That was DWOP for an officer no-show, but is still subject to being indicted and should be indicted. And I will certainly follow up on that to ensure that it does get indicted, because he shot another victim in that case. That's 22 CP 207627. He also had 2 failures to appear per the pretrial services report, I believe, in that case. So that would go to being a flight risk. The state's greater concern is the fact that he has a violent history, and immediately after having been released from prison, picks up where he left off and starts shooting people. So again, not a good candidate for bond. However, if history tells us anything, he will get one. So let me see what the charges are. I put my calendar away already, but
there's already an $80,000 bond. He is statutory.
well, I think I certainly wouldn't go lower than that. I think that's entirely appropriate, Your Honor, and I'll just leave it at that for now.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Gibson?
Judge, I would just note that it has been 174 days since his arrest, and the state not only has not indicted his case that was dismissed for want of prosecution, but they haven't indicted this one either. So I'm not sure if they find Mr. Lawrence to be so dangerous, why they have not indicted his cases.
And that's a familiar trope that's being batted around, but unfortunately, there are so many violent offenders in Fulton County, unlike most jurisdictions in the state of Georgia, and I would hazard a guess in the country, that our office does a Herculean job of going through the thousands and tens of thousands of cases that we are honored and required to deal with. So that would be my response to that argument, Your Honor. That certainly totally disregards the danger to the citizens of Fulton County, which the state is certainly extremely interested in.
Is he going to live in Fulton County, Ms. Gibson?
Yes, Judge.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 1338 Virginia Avenue in East Point. So stay away from Capitol View Apartments. Going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical. That's the only reason you leave your house. Court, lawyer, medical. Yeah, he needs to get another job. He needs to just not be there. Let's see that ankle monitor. So right now it's 30, 10, and 40. I added something, so I'll go 39 and 40. 39 and 40. Reduced at 1,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right. Last one, Ms. Guest. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Billy Williams. All right, Mr. Williams, it's number 4, Bostic. All right, number 4, 24 PI 006-040, 88 days without indictment, no bond as of August the 20th on aggravated assault and aggravated battery. Wow.
Billy Williams, 14 cycles. Felonies are 08 and 02 for drugs out of Fulton, not Fulton, out of Georgia. California, 2 cycles. There's an open misdemeanor, 24 CR 0058. 4B, a simple battery against a police officer. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Guest.
Yes, Your Honor. I actually have been in contact with Mr. Williams, state court attorney, and I believe that case in state court will be resolved here soon. Mr. Williams, as you stated, Your Honor, has been in custody for 88 days unless the state plans to indict his case over the weekend. By the 17th of this month, which is a Sunday, he would have been in custody for 88 days, and he still has not had a bond on these 2 charges before the court. Ms. Williams is 45 years old and does have a valid address where he plans to reside. That is going to be in Villa Rica, Georgia, Your Honor. So he has no issues with staying out of Fulton County if the court is inclined to implement any of the stay away orders. He's originally from the Las Vegas area, but has been in Atlanta for a little over, in Georgia for a little over a year. He does reside at this Villa Rica address with his sister. Prior to this incident, he was working odd and end jobs, but obviously, Your Honor, he has been in custody for over 90 days, but does believe that if he gets the opportunity to get a bond, he would be able to go back and gain some type of employment. He received a GED in 1998. He does suffer from some image issues, Your Honor. So I would ask that if the court is inclined to grant Mr. Williams a bond today, that he's going to be able to be released with the Medicaid, a 30-day supply of the medication that he's currently taking within Fulton County, Your Honor. I would ask whether or not the state has had the opportunity to make any contact with the alleged victim in this case, Your Honor. We do understand the charges. Mr. Williams is presumed innocent. He just wants the opportunity to get a bond so he can be outside of custody while he's trying to fight these charges, Your Honor.
Ms. Rhodes, any contact with the victim?
No, Your Honor, we left a voicemail.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, thank you, Judge. We request that at this time that his bond stay in no bond status until the 19th, in which time we would request that you set the bond at $100,000 cash for each charge for a total of $200,000 cash with the following conditions: that he certainly be banned from Fulton County, that he have absolutely no contact with the alleged victim in this matter, that he has no further violations of the law, that if he's taking any type of mental health or medications or whatever, that he be required to do so if he should make bond. In addition, he has 2 felony convictions out of DeKalb County 08 CR 2038 for possession of cocaine in 2008, and a 2011 conviction, 11 CR 5882 for possession of firearm but by a convicted felon, also in DeKalb County. And then some outer state convictions as stated by pretrial or contact with law enforcement in this matter. Unfortunately, while these are allegations of crimes, this is a severe crime of violence. As you can see, an aggravated battery charge and the allegations in the warrant in this case. And so he's certainly a danger, we believe, to the community. He's certainly a danger to the victim in this case. And as such, we request that bond, Judge. Thank you.
And I would just like the opportunity to briefly reply. I actually didn't state what we would be requesting as far as bond is concerned. We're asking for a bond not to exceed $10,000 on the aggravated assault and $5,000 on the aggravated battery. Any cash bond would theoretically make it impossible for Mr. Williams to be out of custody on charges that, one, have not been indicted, and two, that he still is presumed innocent of, Your Honor. I was the attorney at the preliminary hearing. I don't believe the DA that's on the call today was the DA that day, but I do know that this was an isolated incident. Mr. Williams does not know this individual, so there's no threat to reoffend or to have any issues with the alleged victim, Your Honor, as Mr. Williams does not plan to return back to this bank, does not plan to return back to Fulton County where the incident occurred, Your Honor. So we don't believe that he poses any significant danger to this alleged victim, Your Honor. We would just ask that, since Mr. Williams is presumed innocent of these charges, and as of today, unless his case is going to get indicted over the weekend, he still has not been indicted on these charges at 88 days, that the court does place a reasonable bond on Mr. Williams that he would actually be able to make.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 1075 Peachtree Street in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Michael Bolton. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew, sir, court, lawyer, and medical. And just send me that order to release him with a 30-day supply of his medication. And sir, you're going to stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you darken the doors of Fulton County is court or to see your lawyer. Absolutely no reason to come back to Fulton County, court or to see your lawyer. That's it. Get snacks before you get here. Fill up with gas. Don't run out of gas. Don't stop at Chick-fil-A. Don't do any of that. All right. Let's see. Making my notes. All right, 75,000 and 75,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, Miss Guest.
Yes, Your Honor, and that concludes our matters with the court. I think that everyone's excused, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I'm headed to the concert.
Everybody have a good day.
All right, you too.
Take care, guys.
Thanks. Got everything, Mr. Dukes?
Yep, got everything, Judge.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.